Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream. I hope you guys are doing okay. Everybody's doing well. Let me put this on mute. Donna said, come on, spit it out. Hey, everybody. How are you guys doing? It's giving some people time to get in the chat. Donna, hi. It's giving a few, if you know, but since you want me to spit it out, I guess, hey, Miss Out There. Am I saying that right? Out here. Miss Out Here in Bell. Hi. All right, check this out. Donna told me to spit it out. Now, first of all, what I want to say is please ignore the noise. I am in a public place and because I wanted to make sure the internet was okay. So please, if you hear any background noise, try to ignore that. It should calm down. But I know, Nana, I know. Is it giving everybody time enough to get in here? Hi, how are you doing? Welcome to the 14. I know it's not going to be a lot of people in here because it's lunchtime and it is the daytime, and I get most of my viewers at night. So, hello to all the replay viewers. Glad that you guys were able to join us. I'm not going to be before you long. I started to make this a premiere, which probably tomorrow it will be a premiere. The last time I did a premiere, it was kind of choppy. People were complaining about the sound or whatever. So hopefully my studio is broken down. So hopefully um as the trial progresses, I'm able to get better captioning or whatever. But we're gonna go ahead and view some of the dockets. Okay. The trial started this morning at 9 p.m. So that's the first thing. The transcripts are not available yet. I've been waiting on them. um Probably won't be until tomorrow, and there is a sealed document, so of course I can't get into the sealed document. So I opened up 337 so you guys could see, and we're going to start from 337 and then work our way down. Okay, so this is Judge John A. Ross, and defendant in motions to bar the government from calling Michelle Griggs as a witness at trial. Now hear me out, okay? First and foremost, I don't know why Tim would do this. Thank you, Donna. I don't know why he would do this. I don't know what his purpose was for doing this. I don't know if he was I don't know if he thought she had some incriminating evidence or whatever, but the first thing is, hey, I don't want Michelle Griggs to appear in court. So, that's straight off the bar. Defendant Norman motions to bar the government from calling Michelle Griggs as a witness at the trial. So, defendant Tim Norman, by and through his underlying attorneys, respectfully moves this court for the entry of an order bearing the government from calling Michelle Griggs as a witness at trial, and states the following. Number one, on Sunday, September 4th, 2022, at 9:20 p.m., the government produced for the very first time the witness statements of Ms. Griggs. Number two reason. These are the reasons. Number two, uh, these witness statements did not come in the form of written statements, but rather consist of audio files of her interview. Number three, Miss Griggs is the mother of the deceased Andre Montgomery. Number four, the government intentionally sat on and did not produce the Griggs statements until Sunday, September 4th, 2022 at 9:20 p.m. Number five, the government has been sitting on these materials for almost 1 year. Number six, the government continues to believe the rules do not apply to them in this courtroom. Number seven, these materials clearly constitute um, GLO. I don't know what that means, materials, but we can look that up and see exactly what that is. But GIGLO, or yeah, GIGLO materials, and after further review, they may turn out to be Bradley materials as well. Oh boy. Number eight, moreover, defendant and his counsel are clearly prejudiced by the intentionally late production because they will be unable to have their client review them at all prior to trial. Number nine, in addition, defendant and his counsel are further prejudiced by the initial late production for the reason that they are still attempting to review the 42 witness files containing more than 50 different witness statements in the form of paper, audio, and video, which were produced by the government for the very first time on August 26, 2022. Wherefore, defendant Tim Norman, by and through his undersigned attorneys, respectfully moves this court for the entry of an order barring the government from calling Michelle Griggs as a witness at trial and for such and other further relief as is appropriate. Respectfully submitted, Michelle Leonard, one of the attorneys for defendant Tim Norman. So this was the motion, certificate of service by Michelle Leonard. Now we're going to go back. And like I said, this was 337. So we're going to go back to 338. This was motion to dismiss. Defendant Norman's renewed motion to dismiss based upon Bradley violations with respect to Chris Carroll and for the entry of an order allowing the docking of Carroll audio tapes under seal in the event of Bradley issue is ever reviewed. So this whole thing again is done by one of his attorneys, again Michelle Leonard. She she does not want these videotapes out there. She doesn't want Michelle to do any of the things. So the defendant Tim Norman, and by through his undersigned attorneys, respectfully renews its motion to dismiss based upon the government's Brady violations with respect to Chris Carroll. The states as follows, and so it's basically the same thing. But I'm going to go through this because it involves other things. So number one reasoning is the government alleges that Mr. Norman was involved in the involving Andre Montgomery. Number two, the government does not claim that the admitted shooter Travell Hill received directions or instructions from Mr. Norman to shoot Montgomery. Number three, rather, the government claims that Hill met with Carroll and that Carroll perpetratedly discussed with him the shooting of Montgomery. So they're saying, hey, there was no order given, it was just a discussion. Number four, on August 26, 2022, the government produced for the very first time the witness statements of Carroll. They are lengthy. They are not in writing, once again, rather, they consist of audio tapes of Carroll's interviews with the government. They were initially withheld in violation of Bradley for 1 year or more. Number five, those audio tapes reveal that they are exculpatory of Mr. Norman. In other words, they constitute Bradley materials that should have been produced immediately. Oh well. Number six, they were exploratory because in those videotapes, Carol flat out denies repeatedly and time again that he ever met with Hill and discussed the murder, potential murder, or upcoming murder of Montgomery. Carol stated affirmatively that Hill was, in fact, a liar based upon Hill's claims that such a meeting occurred. Number seven, Carol made those exculpatory denials repeatedly. Indeed, the law enforced investigators in those interviews asked him again and again, finally, after denying repeatedly and over a long period of time that any such communication with Hill ever occurred, Carol finally demanded to speak to a lawyer. Number eight, the government intentionally withheld Carroll's expository denials, which undeniably constitute Bradley material, although no showing of prejudice is necessary based upon this blatant violation of Bradley. Mr. Norman and his counsel have clearly been prejudiced by this Bradley violation in their trial preparation, partially that Carroll's statements go to the very heart of the government's murder for hire um, prosecution, and on and on. Number nine, finally, Mr. Norman and his counsel request that the audio tapes containing the statements of Carroll be docketed under seal in the event that Bradley or non-Bradley nature of those statements ever become an issue for review. Now, here's my thing with this. If there's nothing in there, if Carol is saying the conversation that you guys are claiming never took place, it never happened, you keep badgering me, I need a lawyer. Why do you want these files taken out of the trial and sealed? That's my question. For both, for Michelle Griggs and for Carol. If you don't, if there's nothing in there stating that you're guilty, then why do you not want Michelle to testify, and why do you not want Carol's videos and audios entered into the court during this trial? This is what I'm hi, you guys. That's my question. That's what I want to know. Like, is it that important? Is it that important? I mean, I just don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand. Um, it won't help him, you would think. I mean, clearly it's not going to help him because, even if, I mean, look at it like this: the jury, he doesn't want the jury to know what's on the tapes, what's on the audio, what's on the video, and I clearly understand that. So I'm sure he petitioned his lawyer to make this motion. The lawyer probably didn't do this on her own. He probably said, because he had to give some information. He had to say who Michelle Griggs was, what her relationship was to Andre Montgomery, what she might say, you know what I'm saying, to sway the jury or whatever. So um, after the jury had been selected or whatever, um, and they're in the courtroom and they're hearing the opening, statements or whatever, before this even happens, there are already motions that are being, selected, like, hey, we can't, allow this in the courtroom. So what is the problem? Again, if you believe that there's nothing incriminating, if there's nothing legally incriminating, then why would you not want these documents to be shared? If it's okay, if it's all right, you know I just don't understand. It's like a contradiction, if you will. So today, docket 334, of course, hasn't been deliberated yet or whatever. So there's no PDF attachment for proceedings held for District Judge A. John A. Ross, excuse me, is James Timothy Norman on the court day. This is jury trial day number one today. Okay, it is the 7th. So today is opening day. Arguments heard. Okay, arguments heard, motions, and the court rules the motions per the record. The court grants motion for leave to file under seal by James Timothy Norman. So we don't have any documents right now. Jury. were sworn in, opening statements made by both parties. That happened this morning at 9 a.m. Government evidence commenced but not included. Proceedings to continue on Wednesday, September the 7th, 2022 at 8:45 a.m. So yeah. That was 8:45 this morning. So yesterday the jury trial begun. Today the trial begun. I'm gonna go and look at docket 339, you guys, and see what's happening in here. Anything that's not sealed, I'm looking at today. If it's not sealed, if it's not sealed, I'm going in. United States respond to opposition to defendant's eighth motion in Lyman to bar testimony of Michelle Griggs. So here again, his attorney is asking to bar the testimony of Michelle Griggs. Now remember last month, right? It was the coroner that he didn't want her testimony because she was going to be at her son's wedding, and it was already stated that she was going to be at her son's wedding, so she was excused. But if she needed to be there via Zoom or video, whatever they do in federal court, that she agreed. And upon agreeing, she also agreed that everything that she submitted, was free to go. She didn't have anything to hide. And Tim and his attorney at the time, which is no longer an attorney of his now, didn't want that to happen. If she's not going to be there, then her materials shouldn't be there either. And of course, the judge denied this motion because she was one of the first people to see Andre's body. And so she had evidence of bullet entry, how many bullets. And remember, we went through all of that. So that's kind of understandable because we all thought the lie was that it was just one bullet. But according to the according to the examiner, excuse me, it ended up being more than one, and it ended up being a case where he was not unalive at the first bullet. So he did suffer some trauma before he took his last breath. So that I could understand. Yeah, that's incriminating. Yeah, the court is going to know, the jury is going to hear how he suffered and what happened and the retaliation that took place as well. But this is ridiculous because the only thing Michelle Griggs has that the jury would hear that they would even take into consideration unless the judge ruled otherwise is the fact that Andre called Michelle and his sister, which we got a statement from his sister 2 years ago. If you look back on my videos, um, that Andre did say, if anything happened to me, look at Uncle Tim. And so anything else that she would have to say, she would be speaking for, Andre, and she would be speaking upon how Andre was treated by Tim up until the time that they had the delivery car and Tim started being nice to Andre and Charles because they were driving the delivery car. So unless there's something else that we don't know and we haven't heard and we haven't seen, unless she can testify to something else, I'm not understanding why this is so important. So you have three documents that states they're pushing for Michelle Griggs not for her testimony not to be entered. They want her to take the stand, which is 339. They don't want her audio and video to be submitted, which is 337 and 338. So those three motions have been filed. And so they're not wanting this to go through. And so this was a big to do. This was huge before the beginning of the trial yesterday. This was huge. Brandy says that family didn't really care about Andre like they thought. I personally think it's just him. Like I know that Robbie Montgomery cared for her grandson. him being the last, male Montgomery. And on top of that, she only had boys. She didn't have any daughters. So it was like, we need Andre to survive. We need him to make it. He needs to graduate. And upon all of this, I didn't even know that Miss Robbie paid for his apartment. Miss Robbie paid for him to go to community college. I didn't know any of this up until like a few hours ago. Like, I had no idea. Like, she set Andre up, and Andre said, "I don't want to go to college." He did go, but he stopped going to classes. They called Robbie and said, Andre is not going coming to class or whatever. He was going to the studio because he wanted to do, his music. And they had a conversation. Why don't you go? Why don't you take up some musical classes? And he was like, I've been doing music for the majority. I just want to go to the studio. I just want to work on my music. And so that was his thing. And so if you don't go to college, Miss Robbie said, then you can't keep the apartment. And so that's how he ended up in the hotel room and staying with, his friends or whatever. So I didn't even know this. But everything is coming out because of the trial. Now, here's the thing. It is going to be a madhouse on social media, I can guarantee you, because there are going to be things that are done and said in court, and they are going to talk about it in social media. Not just the family, but people who are going to have access to, you know what I'm saying, to all of the things. No, he most certainly didn't like Andre at all. The only reason he was being nice to Andre per the show was because Andre and Charles were available to drive the delivery trucks, the delivery cars for Sweetie Pies, which was partially Tim's idea, but more so Charles's idea. Because if you remember, was speaking to Charles was speaking to Andre about this on an episode, and they decided to present this with Tim, and Tim deliberated, with whomever, the businessman, whoever that guy was, or whatever, and started calculating how much money this was going to be or whatever. And that was the first time I had ever witnessed Tim being nice to Andre at all. So, for Michelle to be barred, that means that Andre had been talking to his mother about how Tim was treating him, and Tim doesn't want that information on video and on audio released to court. Of course, it's going to be, because either way, because you look at it like this, even if they don't release the audio and the video of Michelle Griggs, they are trying to bar her from testifying at all, which is not going to work because she is on the list of witnesses. So either way, Michelle Griggs is going to be in the courtroom. She's going to be called, and she's going to be able to speak. Would you rather the audio and video to be played, or would you rather for Michelle Griggs to actually be there in person to say what she wants to say? Because it may be both. She's there. Michelle Griggs is there. She's in the place. She's not going anywhere. She's going to be there to see this trial through every single day. I can guarantee you that. Miss Robbie is there. Michelle is there. Michelle's children are there. Yeah, actually be like, so there's nothing that he can do for about this. And even if she doesn't get to testify, I guarantee you people are going to be pushing for interviews. So it is going to be in the media. Check your media. Like, this week there's going to be some massive media surrounding this trial. Even if they don't talk about it on television, which I doubt they will, being a federal case, but newspapers, on the internet, magazines, it's going to be a madhouse. I would be at my exactly. I would totally be at his trial. Like, I don't know what Tim and his attorneys are thinking, but I feel like I it's just stupid. And like I said, the motion of Lyman to bar the testimony of Michelle Grins per document 337. I get it, but at the same time, um, she's there. She's It's just so dumb. I don't understand. The lawyer is saying right here on the bottom of the first page that the defendant Norman recordings total 57 minutes of an interview done with Miss Griggs. 57 minutes. So you can say a whole lot in 57 minutes. And for them to actually be interviewing and talking to Michelle for 57 minutes, she obviously had a lot to say. So I'm assuming that it was conversations that she had with her son. And I feel like if the judge is smart, he's going to go ahead and allow all of this to play out. Allow all of this to play out. So let's check out and see. Let's go back. All right. Yeah, motion of alignment 341. They started this on the 5th because they knew. I mean, there were so many motions filed on the response to motion, response to opposition. Um, I mean, they really went in on this on the 5th. They just kept submitting, kept submitting, kept submitting. And the United States response in opposition to defendant's ninth motion of alignment to bar testimony of Michelle Griggs. Um, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, for the foregoing reasons, the United States respectfully requests that this court deny defendant Norman's ninth motion in alignment as moot. So, um, like I said, so yeah, Tim's motions obviously are going to be denied per document 343. They're pushing for the court to deny this, and I totally agree. I stand with that because I mean, this is you're talking about justice for somebody who lost their life. This is so dumb. I mean, so dumb. If she is allowed to testify, let me check 341. Because why are you concerned about it? If she is allowed to testify, it's not illegal. I mean, she's going to stand up for her son. Defendant's motion Flyman in the event that Michelle Griggs is allowed to testify at trial to bar the government from eliciting certain statements from her. Okay, so here we go. Even if she is allowed to testify, which obviously she will be, they're asking, would you not allow her to say certain things? What certain things do they not want Michelle to say? Let's look at this document. Number one, the motion is filed in the event this court denies defendant's motion to bar Griggs from testimony. Number two, the government intends to introduce statements allegedly made by Robbie Montgomery and Andre Montgomery to Griggs through the testimony of Griggs. Now, see, I have an issue with that because here you're talking about Robbie Montgomery being the grandmother, but she's also Tim's mom. So if she had something to say, and I didn't even think about Robbie Montgomery being called to testify. May as she may be called to testify as well. But even if she hasn't, what you're saying is, Michelle, you cannot say anything that was allegedly stated by Robbie Montgomery and Andre Montgomery to Griggs through the testimony, which is asinine because that's pretty much she wasn't there when Andre's life was taken away, so that's the only thing that she could testify to. So I think that's like ridiculous. Number three, defendant's counsel received those Griggs statement in the form of audio only on Sunday, September 4th at 9:20 p.m. You don't want those submitted. Number four, the government intends to introduce through Griggs statements that Miss Montgomery allegedly made to Miss Griggs, speculating and opinioning that Mr. Norman may have killed Andre Montgomery, and statements that Andre Montgomery allegedly made to Griggs to the effect that Mr. Norman was out to get him, which we just talked about, based upon the alleged statements of an unidentified woman who we still don't know who this is, who purposely made the statements to Andre Montgomery, who alleged later conveyed those statements to Griggs. So there's an unidentified woman out there now. Tim thinks talked to everybody. This woman still hasn't been produced yet, but this woman, I don't know if Tim made this woman up or whatever. I've never heard Michelle talk about an anonymous woman. Never heard Robbie. Never heard Andre's sister either talk about this anonymous woman, but Tim is the only one that keeps bringing this woman up. So, statements alleged made by Miss Montgomery to Griggs. So, the statements alleged by Miss Montgomery to Griggs, in which Miss Montgomery purportedly speculates and opine that Mr. Norman might have killed Andre Montgomery, and why hearsay must be excluded pursuant to federal rules. So, even if Andre thought that Tim was out to get him, they don't want this repeated by Michelle, basically. And 6, 7, and 8 pretty much is saying the same thing. If the foundation for Mrs. Montgomery's speculation about who might have killed Mr. Montgomery or why, and therefore must be excluded under Rules 801. So it's like, this is stupid. So let me get this. Let me get this straight, ladies and gentlemen. Just let me wrap my head around this right here. Uh, Miss Montgomery obviously is Robbie Montgomery. So what you're saying, Tim, is that you speculate that Robbie Montgomery was talking to Michelle Griggs and probably told Michelle that you were the one that killed her grandson, aka your nephew. But your mom, Miss Montgomery, is the same woman who the people speculate is paying for your attorney fees. But you think that she thinks you killed her grandson. Now, this is interesting, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking at the statements. Moreover, Andre Montgomery's state of mind is entirely irrelevant to any charge, much less element in this case. So now they're talking about Andre may have not been in the right frame of mind when he was talking to Miss Montgomery, which is Robbie, and Miss Griggs, which is Michelle. Thus, his alleged statements to Griggs about any fear or issues with respect to defendant Tim Norman must be excluded. So now, even if all of this were stated, you're doubting his frame of mind. Now, it's not like he took his own life. It's not like he was acting crazy when he lost his life or any of that. He was the same individual. He just So what would his state of mind have been? Like, what are you saying exactly? It doesn't make sense, Tim. Now, I mean, because let's just be honest. And I'm not even gonna go there with Andre, because Andre has never said that, he had any mental issues or anything. But we know that Tim has. So your frame of mind is what the attorney should be speculating on, not Andre's. But the fact that you threw that in there and probably in opening statements is just wow. Like, Tim is dirty as crap. Like, that's your nephew. And if you're gonna stick to the lie that you are set up, somebody set you up, and there's this imaginary woman walking around talking about you behind your back, um, wouldn't you want these statements to be looked at in a court of law so that your attorney could smash them, so your attorney could knock them down real quick? No, you don't want them to say anything at all, period, like nothing. It's kind of weird. And you question the state of mind of Andre, which has never been in question. His frame of mind has never been in question during this whole 2 years, not even on the show. Nobody questioned his state of mind. So what are you talking about? Like, that's just ludicrous. Like, I can't with this dude. He says that, likewise, Andre Montgomery's hearsay statement to his mom, Griggs, that she should look into Tim Norman if anything happens to him, and like any statements offered by the government through Griggs, are without foundation, speculative, and otherwise hearsay as offered for their truth. Now, I 50-50 disagree with that, you guys, because we don't know what foundation because we don't know if Andre had solid proof, you know what I'm saying? And we can't ask him because he's not here anymore. So I kind of disagree with that. Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you. I am. I plan to I listen, when it comes to the Tim Norman trial, I plan to look at every nook and cranny because I just don't believe that this guy is innocent. And by the way, thank you for the 124 people that are here. I appreciate you guys. I know it's like early in the daytime, it's lunchtime, people are, at work and stuff. This is the only time I had to hi Geraldine. This is the only time I had to come on. So I do appreciate you guys for showing up for me. Thank you so much. But let me look at some of the comments now. I've been hearing people haven't been eating at Sweetie Pies. They're losing customers. I feel like in Mississippi, they're going to lose a lot of business anyway right now. The trial is going on, but Mississippi is having issues with drinking water. So even if, you know what I'm saying? Like, but this is, don't you guys think that this is really interesting? That Tim is flat out telling his attorney that his mother told Michelle that, hey, my mom told Michelle Griggs, Andre's mother, that it was my fault. I find that interesting because remember, when we looked at the article from Black Enterprise, Miss Robbie was saying that she was behind her son and to pray for him. So I'm just saying, just look at that, stick a pin in that. Hey, Shawanda. Hey to all my mods. I'm sorry, you guys, if I'm missing stuff. Hey, Miss Cruiser. I'm just really into this trial. I'm really into this. Remember, the defense is trying the case now and using strategy for the appeal as well. Exactly. He will be guilty, so the appeal is imminent. I totally agree with that. Like it's going down in the worst way for this guy. Let me see. Hey, Swan, have you seen the randomness of Vale? He is also talking about this case. Interesting. Okay. Okay. I hear y'all. I hear y'all. Donna said, I said, spit it out, Twanna, and filled my eyes. I got what I asked for. Oh my God. I'm checking this to just make sure I don't miss any of you guys' questions. And I totally agree with this, T. Andre got it from somewhere. Why would he know Tim was out to get him? I am telling you, it is the actions of Tim Norman himself. And per that, Tim was always talking to somebody. Andre could have overheard Tim's conversation. We don't know because, again, we can't ask Andre. He's not here with us anymore. So we don't know where, Andre, it could have been just a feeling, but that doesn't mean that his frame of mind wasn't intact at all. That's not what that means. So, you know what I'm saying? You loved your grandson and you're spending so much money to save his killer. But that's the thing though. Tim just said, Kay, that Robbie told Michelle that he was the killer. So if that's the case, why would she turn around and pay for his bills? I'm really confused. Hey Jody Boo, I'm really confused. You know what I'm saying? I'm confused a little. I feel like somebody just told a lie. Somebody's lying. Either Tim is lying or Robbie's lying. But I know Michelle ain't lying because she ain't said nothing but the truth. Robbie knew Andre's life was in danger the entire time. Exactly, Geraldine. And I do feel like Robbie and Michelle had a conversation. I do. I feel like they had a conversation. I feel like they had a conversation, and it may have been possible that they said, you know what? You know what? Tim could have been, you know what I'm saying? If my grandson believed that, Tim is guilty of this, that Tim could have set this up, then You know, who am I? Oh my God. Can Robbie know the truth but still want to be on her son's side? Seems possible. I mean, Teresa, yeah, I kind of feel like that's possible, but that's a lot of money. And it's ongoing money because you got to pay retainer. You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta pay like all the bills. And there's no telling how long this court thing is gonna go on. Yeah, yeah. Now you guys are right as well. The document is let's go back. Let me go back. This document right here is 341, and this is where the defendant's motion and alignment number 9, in the event that Michelle Griggs is allowed to testify at trial, to bar the government from electing certain statements from her. So we've already went over them not wanting her to testify, not wanting her video to be submitted, not wanting her audio to be submitted. And did I say it was 57 minutes of interviewing that the government interviewed Michelle for 57 minutes? Ever was said, Tim does not want that to take place in the court of law. He doesn't want anybody to hear. On 337, defendant Norman motions to bar the government from calling Michelle Griggs as a witness, period. So not only does he not want her audio video, but doesn't want her on the stand. So the last thing that we looked at was, if she is allowed to take the stand, can she be barred from saying certain things, which would be basically her entire testimony, unless there's, like I said, again, something that she's been holding on to that nobody knows except for her and the government. So they're doing everything that they can, but there was a motion by the court to dismiss all of this. So anything, um, and it was terminated, and this was on the 5th as well. So there was a document, 338 was filed on the 5th and the 6th, and then the court motioned to dismiss this. So there was a lot of termination going on. There were um, filing on the 5th and dismissals um on the 6th. So this was a lot going on. There's a lot on here that just um I mean, like, his lawyer, once she was sworn in and once she allowed to work from wherever she's from, I can't remember, um but wow. And here again, defendant's motion and alignment number 6 to bar certain statements from Travell Hill. Now we're off of Michelle Griggs. We're on to Travell. So Tim doesn't want Travell to say certain things in the court, which is what this is about. So we're talking about Travell Hill now, okay? So the defendant, Timothy Norman, and through his undersigned attorneys, respectfully moves the court for an order barring certain statements made by Travell Hill, and states as follows. Number one, again, you guys, we're talking about Travell Hill and what Tim does not want Travell to say on the stand. So, number one, the government intends to introduce evidence of a telephone call made by Travell Hill to an individual who was in custody, regarding Hill's involvement in the shooting of Andre Montgomery. Okay. Number two, Hill's statements during this call are insubmissible as hearsay, and because they are prior consistent statements. See the United States versus Cotton. Number three, moreover, the contents of the Travell Hill telephone call are irrelevant because they do not establish any fact at issue, i.e., it is undisputed that Hill was the one who killed Andre Montgomery. Okay? Wherefore, defendant respectfully requests that this court enter its order barring certain statements by Travell Hill. So this one was done by Kelsey H. Killian, which is one of the new attorneys on Tim's team. So I want to know what you guys think about this, because um, they're attacking like everybody that can testify, that is not an expert. It's like certain things we don't want you to say, certain things you can't talk about. So now he's attacking Travell's testimony. And so this is what he does not want Travell to talk about on the stand. Okay, so yeah, I'm tripping. I could understand loving your child, but at what point is there accountability? Um, Tim has yet to take accountability. Tim and his attorneys are doing everything they can to stop this. I mean, it's crazy. He's doing everything he can to stop this. Hi, Dr. T, welcome. Let's see. This says that Andre was murdered before he took the second polygraph because they didn't want the truth to come out. Yeah, he was supposed to take the polygraph test, and then 4 days after that, he was unalived per YouTube for us to use the term unalived. Okay, so that was that. All right. So Travell has been uh Travell has been he's been tagged. Let's see who else. So defendant's motion for leave to file sealed supplement to his motion to dismiss indictment counts. This is just a small thing. It's a certificate of service or whatever, so it really doesn't mean anything. Defendant Tim Norman, and by through his undersigned attorney pursuant to Eastern District of Missouri, moves to leave of court to file seal supplement because it contains material um, reference to defendant's motion to dismiss. You know what? It doesn't make a difference. That's already been denied anyway. So whatever is sealed is going to be unsealed. So you may as well forget about that motion. Really, to be honest, in just my opinion, I think that all of these are going to be um, denied. United States response in opposition to defendant's third motion for dismissal. Um, Skip all this. I just want to see what it says. And I was correct. For the foregoing reasons, the United States respectfully requests that this court deny defendant Tim Norman's motion for dismissal. So every time they do something, they're going to, respectfully request that this court deny the defendant's motion. So I mean, it's a lot of work, and attorneys do go through a lot of work. This is a lot of work. It is. It's a lot of work. And it says that further, defendant Norman has cited no legal authority supporting his request for docketing the self-serving statement, which basically means you don't have a legal leg. The only reason, basically that you don't want people to hear this, and you're talking about Chris Carroll right now, which is Travell's conversation with Chris Carroll. You don't want this conversation in the mix at all. You don't want this conversation in the mix at all. So, I mean, which they're like, we need this conversation, so we're moving to deny, which I totally agree with. I completely agree with. I don't think that anything Tim's talking about, um, should even be taken seriously. Um, you know, Defendant Norman's motion to bar the government from calling Michelle Griggs as a witness at the trial. So we already looked at that. So he's concerned about the witnesses, Michelle Griggs, and he's worried about his right hand guy. I'm just like Travell and Michelle. He's concerned about these. So I am under the uh I am under okay, that's sealed. So there is a sealed document in here we can't get into, but it is a response to the motion. 335 was on 9/22/22, and it was a pretrial conference. And I don't see what I was looking for was how they chose the jury, and that could be the sealed, but it will be unsealed. It's just not open right now. But the pretrial conference doesn't have anything in it about selecting the jury, but that's what I wanted. I literally wanted um I really wanted that information. The trial brief. USAS to James Timothy Norman. Okay, there's an attachment here. So we're gonna view all. I wanna view these. I wanna see. I want to see what's up. Supplement to the United States motion in alignment to admit co-conspirator statements. So they've already moved to admit to co-conspirator statements. Travell Hill. Okay. Okay. So they're gonna tra- basically they're gonna Travell is going. For the foregoing reasons, the United States respectfully requests that this court's grant its motion to admit its additional co-conspirator statements of Travell Hill. So Travell Hill's statements stand. His statements are going to stand. That he's Travell. They can't stop Travell's testimony. Basically, they want the court to grant its motion to admit this additional co-conspirator statement of Travell Hill. Okay, so we've got that. Let's look at the second document. Supplement to United States motion Lyman to admit co-conspirator statements. Again, okay, this right here was okay. Dre, they're calling him Dre. Accepted the request on Instagram, so they're talking about an Instagram thing. Comes now the United States by and through the Attorney United States Slayer A. Fleming and Angie E. Dennis and Gwendolyn E. Carroll, Assistant United States Attorney, and submits a supplement for the United States previously filed motion in alignment seeking admission of co-conspirator statements, and this was about again Instagram. There was co-conspirator statements made by Travell Hill in furtherance of charged conspiracy to commit murder for hire. Specifically, Travell Hill's statement to defend Norman on June 17th, 2015, during the time frame of the charged conspiracy, that Dre accepted the request on Instagram. So Travell Hill's exchange. See, which are photographs of a dog included only for purposes of establishing the date. There's a lot going on that we didn't even know about. Travell Hill will testify that he sent the message to Defendant Norman because Defendant Norman asked him to track Andre Montgomery on Instagram. My God. My God. So what you're telling me is that Travell and Tim set up a fake account on Instagram so that Tim could track Andre's movements. Oh my God. Travell Hill will testify that he sent the message to. So, this is what Tim was trying to hide. Travell Hill will testify that he sent the message to Defendant Norman because Defendant Norman asked him, asked Travell to track Andre Montgomery on Instagram. As the court will see, as outlined in the United States trial brief, it is a well established that an out of court declaration of co conspirator is submissible against a defendant if the government demonstrates that a conspiracy existed, that the defendant and the declarant were members of the conspiracy, and that the declaration was made during the course and furtherance of the conspiracy. So there was more than one conspiracy going on here. Did you guys just catch that? Did y'all hear what I said? Dre accepted the request on Instagram, demonstrates that the defendant Norman instructed Travell Hill, who he ultimately paid to murder Andre, to track Andre. As such, the statement is submissible. Is an submissible co-conspirator statement. Unfreaking believable, dude. Whoa. Consider my mind blown. Consider my mind. Are you kidding me right now? Like, wow. There's so much going on to this story. There is so much going on. You guys, Tim is absolutely insane. Now, let me ask you something. If, in fact, Tim Norman, okay, didn't like Andre, didn't want anything to do with Andre, why are you tracking his movements? Why do you want to know what Andre's doing on social media? What are you trying to gain? And you're his uncle. And so wouldn't you want to have like bettered your relationship with Andre and been like, yo man, let's follow each other on, Instagram or whatever. But no, you coerced Travell Hill to not only shoot this man, but before even that, you guys made a fake account on Instagram. And then you called Tim Norman and said, yo, man, he accepted the request. Exactly, Geraldine. Boy, at this point, Miss Cruiser, at this point, the defense should consider a plea. What would they offer? I don't know because the death penalty has been taken off the table. So I'm not really sure at this point what they could offer to him besides less time or a different type of facility. Like instead of a maximum, what do you call those prisons? Like the maximum security prisons, like a less okay, we're good. We're good to go. Okay. I was like, what the heck? Phew. All right, we're good. All right, so comment, Miss Cruz. But yesterday, Andre's mother testified that Tim called her and said send him back along with his SNN diploma birth certificate. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Minimum security, Tracy. Ms. Cruiser, so let's check this out. Ms. Cruiser says that Ms. Cruiser's cell phone tower records show that Tim was in St. Louis at the time. Right. Tim's grandmother's house is within viewing distance of the house Andre was. Exactly. Tim is low down. Yep, we knew that. We knew that. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So it's proof this guy got to get life plus 40 plus 25. I mean, if you look at like if he's convicted of all four of the points that were on the docket, then yeah, he's probably going to get life plus there's one missing because you got life, then plus 40, plus 25, then plus another 25. So maybe they'll say, we can do this consecutively, and maybe you'll be up for parole after 25 years or something like that. Like, but I'm just speculating at that point because after this, I don't know. But what I do know is if they set this up, and said, okay, we're going to follow him, for this amount of time. 2015, you started following him on a fake account on Instagram, and you had Travell set this up. Then there are other things besides the girl, besides Travell, besides the Instagram that you had set up. You probably had people watching him. We know that you used two phones because you had a burner phone in one place and you had your cell phone wherever you were. So we know that you had two different phones working. Thank you so much. Hey, Sharon. We know that you had that. Red flag. All right, let me get this question right here. Red flag. Why did Tim need his birth certificate and card? Huge red flag for me because of the insurance policy. He wanted the birth certificate so he could cash in on the money. But per the murder, he didn't get any of the money because he didn't have the documents. YL couldn't do anything just because Tim was a friend. Tim thought YL's got my back, but he had to give his insurance company something. So, I mean, Tim's not good enough to like forge a birth certificate or whatever. And I guess he didn't really understand that you could go to the health department and get a birth certificate. Like, I don't know. So he was like, let me rob my mom's house and, see if I can get this birth certificate. But why would Miss Robbie have a birth certificate of a child she didn't give birth to? Like, that's the only reason he would have his birth certificate is he needed like a new ID or for school or something like that. But you know what I'm saying? Or like for high school. But at that point, I think it was just a matter of transferring from one high school to another. So yeah, no. Yeah. Yeah. He's done. Other we're keeping up with this young man. He sent pictures of Andre. They sent pictures, and like anything that had to do with the whereabouts of Andre, what Andre was doing, what Andre was saying, like anything that they could get their hands on. Like this was, what Tim wanted. And again, unless you're trying to do something devious, why would you want to track somebody like that? Like, who has that kind of time? Unless you're planning something that, is sinister. Who has that? Like, you have two kids, Tim, you have a restaurant, you got bills to pay. Like, you got a baby, you got a brand new baby mama. Like, but you have time. I got time to track my nephew, which I could care less about because you had an insurance policy to cash in on. Like, this is wicked. I never thought that this would come. I never thought, like, this just blew me out of the water. The robbery at the house is still not solved per the police. Yeah, it's still not solved, but because Robbie said, she knows, she thinks she knows who did it. It was somebody that she knew or whatever. I think she knows that it was her son. But they're still going to talk about it. They're still talking about it during the trial. But y'all, come on, man. Y'all, Travell Hill, who has pled guilty to the conspiracy in this case, was clearly a member of the conspiracy to murder Andre Montgomery. And Hill's statement to defendant Norman that Dre accepted the request on Instagram demonstrates that the defendant Norman instructed Travell Hill, whom he ultimately paid to murder Andre, to track Andre Montgomery on social media. Well, there you go. Y'all wanted the tea. Y'all got the tea. That was on document 318. That was exhibit number one. That was exhibit number one, ladies and gentlemen, per the trial. So there you go. I'm really as the case continues, I am really interested in knowing because we went through all of the exhibits, remember? In a previous video, and I'm so interested to know what else is in the seal, but we'll find out. Hey, wow, I know she's heartbroken. I know she's heartbroken, because like, how could you not be? This is like your son, this is family, like this is like your grandson, your son. You don't have any more kids left. Like, this is it. Like, everybody that you gave birth to. Could you imagine? I could not imagine that my daughter being taken out and then my grandchildren. Like, so you said my whole world. You know what I'm saying? My whole world being gone. All because of somebody that I gave birth to? Absolutely not. Absolutely. This is ridiculous. Let me see. I skipped this one. I'll go back to the other one. By the way, you can't go get someone else's birth certificate without their permission. Vital records would not. Yeah, the only thing that I've done, went to the health department and got my aunt's birth certificate because she was deceased. Um, I don't know. Her birth certificate mysteriously disappeared. I'm sure that one of her people took it from the house or something when we were getting ready for her determent. But um, me and my uncle went to the health department to get her birth certificate. But like I said, and they didn't ask me for an ID or anything. But they may have asked me for my ID, but they asked me, what relation I was, to her or whatever. So what I'm saying is, um, I guess he just wasn't in the frame of mind. He was in a crazy frame of mind or whatever. I mean, he could have went and tried and said, well, I'm his uncle, and I'm a part of the, funeral arrangements or whatever. Like they may have given him the birth certificate at that particular point in time. I don't know. I think that it's different in each state. I'm in Alabama, so I didn't have any problems getting my relatives death certificate at all. Um this is $1 short of a paramedical exam needed, which includes blood and urine specimens, and it has to be in person. The application never passed. Simply said, death is too good for Tim Norman. He needs to spend the rest of his life in solitary confinement with a picture of Andre on the wall. Woo, my God. Humpty said, if I were Janae, his first child's mother, I would not allow him to be in his grand. The thing is that I don't blame Robbie Montgomery because Tim is an individual. He chose to do this, and I feel like um, I don't think that Robbie, would take the children to go and see Tim in prison or anything like that if he's allowed visitation. Um, I don't see why Robbie shouldn't um, be allowed to go and visit, even if it's supervised, because at that, I mean, she's a grandmother, let her. I mean, she's already lost Andre, you know, allow her. She's in her 80s, for God's sake, allow her, at least allow her that. Hey, T. He wouldn't have been able to get that birth certificate because he was an uncle. Ohio would do it too. Okay. See, me, like I said, I'm in Alabama, so I know that every state has its own laws about that. Miss Gilbert, I know his mother is sick to her stomach hearing all this, poor lady, and he refused to come clean to his elderly mother. He's pathetic. I don't know how. Well, my stomach would be turning if I was sitting in court and I heard that. I heard testimony by Travell Hill that, yeah, we set up a fake Instagram because Tim wanted to track that right there. Oh, why do you want to track the boy? You don't like him. Y'all didn't have a good relationship. So you had to set up a fake, Instagram. Like, what? So did Tim Norman and Travell have access to the account? Or both of y'all looking at this account? You have it, on your phone, both of them. I'm sure to say yes because Travell was the shooter. So yeah, the fact that the lawyers are trying to paint Dre as a troubled drug gang thug is sad. Like that's just he was just a kid. I mean, literally, he was just doing. He literally was a product of his environment. He was just doing what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a rapper. Okay, so he's got the dreads. He's got the clothes. He's just doing his thing. You know, it's not unusual. I feel like even so, even if he was what they're trying to paint him to be, ladies and gentlemen, does that mean that he should lose his life? So what? So what? Do you know how many states weed is legal in nowadays? So what? He smoked weed. So what? He had his posse of friends. Everybody's got their little posse of friends. So what? He wore his pants saggy. That doesn't mean that he needs to lose his life. Jesus. Tim just really. Hey, Shar Shar, how you doing, babe? A. Williams, I don't feel nothing for Miss Robbie. Maybe you haven't seen the text between Miss Robbie and Andre. He told her he was scared of Tim. She didn't acknowledge his fear. Miss Robbie's complicit. I don't know. I think that she knew that boy was afraid. They had this conversation before. Remember, even on the show when Charles and Andre went to Miss Robbie and said that Tim had punched Andre and that he was treating them poorly or whatever, and Robbie ripped into Tim. She ripped him a new one, and I was so glad because he thought he was going to get you know, he thought it was okay for him to do that. And no, I was glad that she stood up. I was glad that she stood up. That's all I'm saying. I don't know, how it is now, but I'm glad that she stood up. Yeah, Tim did go to prison at 17. I think that Charles thinks that Tim is guilty. I do. I do. I sure do. I think that he knows. I think that there's no doubt in his mind. You just remembered that? I remember everything about this case. Like, I'm naive because I watched this show religiously. And then when they put it on reruns, I was watching all the reruns. And I'm glad I did because there are a lot of things in that show that will play a part in this trial. Where is Charles now? I forgot. I'm sorry. But you can check his Instagram. He talks a lot on Instagram. Will Charles be a witness? He was not on the witness list. So I don't think so. I don't think he's going to. Oh yeah, Charles was like he was always wide eyed looking at Tim. Like if Tim had a shift in his mood, if he had a shift, in his temperament, Charles was always wide eyed looking at Tim because he knew Tim could flip in a second. You know what I'm saying? So hey, Gabby, trying to attack Andre's character was very despicable, but in the end, nothing justifies what exactly. That was my whole point. I'm like, is Janae on the witness list? Nope, she is not on the witness list. There was speculation that she had been interviewed, but she is not on the list anywhere per the FBI, unless she's under sealed documents or something. She's not in Pacer at all. Uh, so yeah, I don't see anywhere where she's. Let me go back. Now that would have been 8/22/22. Nope, that was in violation. That was something totally different. That was Angie Danis. Nope. Mm-mm. Let me go back. I'm backtracking because I know there is a list, and I think per the trial that list is sealed right here because there are two documents that are sealed. James, Timothy Norman, Terica, Tanisha Ellis, Y.L. Yogman, Travell, Anthony Hill, hereby ordered that this matter is scheduled for a jury trial to commence on Tuesday, September 6th, which was yesterday, at 9 a.m. in courtroom 12. It is further ordered that the court will be held a final pretrial conference on Thursday, September the 1st, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. in courtroom 12. Jury trial set for 9/6/2022, 9 a.m. in courtroom 12N. Okay, the pretrial conference set for 9/1/2/22. So right now they're just concerned about the main characters. They're concerned about Michelle Griggs, and really Michelle Griggs and Travell Hill. hmm So yeah, I'm seeing this for what it is, man. Like, I, once again, it just keeps getting more and more incriminating for Tim. Like, not even kidding. It's more and more incriminating for Tim. It's not looking good for him at all. Let me see. I don't want to display the docket text in this one. Let me run this query. go back in here. Let me see. Norman James Timothy. I'm gonna go ahead and close this one. All right, let's hit share. Hold on just 1 second. Just 1 second. Accept cookies. Yeah, she's not on this list. And I hate that I hate it. I hate that she's not on the list. Why not allow her to participate in the trial? Why not? I, Janae may have, some things to say. Why not allow her, where would you like to go? Case locator. All right. Last name Norman. First name James. Timothy. Let's see. All right, we're gonna go. Let me see. Check these history of documents real quick, and then we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go to the most recent, and I don't think we missed anything. Let me share my screen really quick, and I'm gonna check the comments before I leave, and then we're gonna get out of here because I know that some of you guys have got to get back to work and all that good stuff. Let me see. Evidentiary hearing, witness list. Let's check the witness list. That's what we were looking for, right? Don't have permission to view this document. Dadgummit. Shucks. Why, man? I wanted to check the witness list. It's right there. Just let me open it. Let's see about the exhibit list. So the witness list is sealed back up. We can't see this. See the exhibit list. Um, they went through the arrest warrant, the photograph, black and gold iPhone, which was Tim's iPhone, St. Louis Police Department evidence envelope containing the phone, the FBI envelope with S.A. Faber's writing containing Norman's phone, the FBI property receipt for Norman's phone, disc containing the full jail calls, excerpt clip from a call on 8/24/20 from Norman to UM. They had a transcript of that, an affidavit of Madison County Jail custodian, and an excerpt clip from a call on 8/24/20 from Norman to UF, a transcript of Exhibit 8, and a search warrant for Norman's iPhone. So these exhibits are first up, and this is from the document 199. So we've got a lot of things going on with his cell phone, but we do have a few things that are sealed, and it's probably because court is about to start and we can't see, you know what I'm saying? It's not public record right now. So don't really see anything else that we missed. Is there anything else that you guys had questions about? Is there anything I could look up for you that you wanted to see? Just got word that Travell Anthony Hill and Terica Ellis are due to testify after they complete the testimony regarding the insurance policies. Thanks, Kizzy. Thank you so much. Humpty Dance, neither would I. She failed Andre as a grandmother, so why would it be any different for the other grandchildren? Of course, he's done this before. If you could kill your own nephew, you've done this before. Ooh. Well, he's kidnapped before, right? A Willis, man, I wish I could hear their testimony. Well, once the um once the transcripts come out, we'll be able to check those out. That's about as close as I can get. I'm so sorry. This trial is juicy. True crime writer Ann Rule, who passed, would have liked to write this. Hey, sis, blood don't make you family. Thank you guys so much for being here. I do appreciate you guys. Let's see. Now, the insurance policy testimony is what I want to hear. Is that today? No, that is not today. Um, but it's probably going to be coming up soon. Whenever YL is due to take the stand, that's going to be all insurance stuff. Right now, we got Terica and we got Travell. And like I said, he was really, and it's really odd. He wasn't really concerned about Terica's stuff. He was really concerned about Michelle Griggs and Travell's testimony. If you guys noticed that, did y'all notice that? Yeah, he was involved in a kidnapping, Andrea. He was involved in a kidnapping and he went to jail for it. So, mhm. Hey, Vet. How you doing, love? No, it is not open to the public. I'm sorry. I'm waiting on the transcripts to open. Once the transcripts open up, we will definitely be looking at those. We'll be going over who said what. We'll be looking over jury selection. We'll be going over all of that stuff. A. Williams says, I can't wait. I bet they're going to drop some mega bombs in that courtroom. Absolutely. And I'm going to be covering every bomb. Ooh, I can't wait for the jury to hear about those five bogus insurance policies. Child, eyes are going to be like, what? Because this is so different from R. Kelly's trial because there was no show. Now, like with R. Kelly, there was that show Surviving R. Kelly, and so they didn't want any of the jurors to have seen or have knowledge of that show. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like if you were then you knew about the show or whatever, you probably watched it. And so listen, y'all, we ain't got none of that going on. They're not saying, are you familiar with the show Sweetie Pies? Like they don't really care about the show Sweetie Pies in this trial. You know what I'm saying? So I mean they care about it, but like the jurors, they don't care if you saw that show and you're sitting on it's not like Surviving R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? So it's completely different. Let me go back. Somebody had a question. Um Hey, Veronica, three insurance policies companies have already testified this morning. Did they testify already? I'm interested in the YL, is what I want. I want to hear what was going on. Like, how did Tim actually provide information, if any, to get the insurance policies after Andre's demise? Um, that's what I'm most interested in. The insurance companies probably only have, and I'm just speculating because I didn't get to see the trial. A. Williams, I'm wondering how the family is going to respond to the testimony. Well, the only thing I can tell you is to stay glued to social media because something might slip. Simply read, premeditated. Absolutely. Like after seeing the after seeing Travell set up a fake Instagram account to follow Andre, that right there kind of, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, really? And of course, like I said, he didn't do this on his own. Tim Norman coerced him to set up a fake Instagram account to follow Andre so they could track his movements. And this was long before any of this. Only 6 of the 59 were black, and not one black is on jury. I'm smiling, Miss Cruiser. Ah, I'm smiling. Hmm. I'm smiling. Talking about Tim must have done this before. I wonder if YL has done murder for hire insurance before. I doubt it. I doubt it. YL seemed a little, green. He seemed a little, but I don't know because, all I know is that he did music before and he produced some, you know, Grammy, winning music. So I don't know. If he has done anything like this and he was implicated in anything, it will come out in court. After the court proceedings are over, can the public order transcripts? I am on Pacer right now looking for the transcripts, and it's not open. It would be document 344, and it's sealed right now. The jury trial begun, and I'm I'm waiting on the transcripts. Unless I can get transcripts somewhere else, this is what I'm waiting on. I'm sitting here with fingers crossed, like I need those transcripts because I want to see everything. I wonder if Tim really had an insurance policy on his mom. Yes, he did. It was confirmed that he did have an insurance policy on his mom for $1 million. So he did actually have that insurance policy out on his mom for sure. That's a absolutely fact. That is not speculated. That is not allegedly. That is a fact. Why is there no national news on this case? Because what did they call this? This was a some sort of trial. What's the name of it? A national trial or what? What kind of trial is this? It's not. It's that these types of trials they don't put on TV, so we won't be able to see it. But I can't think of the name of it. It slips my mind right now. He did leave producing because there was no. Stop. Thank you. Well, it's a federal case. I'm like, and that could. I don't live in St. Louis, but I know that they told me. Um, but thank you, T. Yeah, it is a federal trial, but I don't know if they cover federal trials locally. I'm not really sure, and yeah, that's what I thought. They don't televise those. So we're not gonna get any Johnny Depp coverage. You know what I'm saying? We're not getting any Johnny Depp coverage. So hey they. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys. It's almost 400 people, and I hate to like leave you guys, but um, I gotta go. I guess I got some stuff. I got some stuff to do. Uh, Let me see. Neff says, "What made the case be federal trial? Because of the FBI. This is an FBI case. This is not. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on motive? I think that. Well, let me finish reading your whole question. D. He wanted Robbie's money all to himself. Robbie would. Okay. I feel this is the way I feel about it, and then I'm gonna let you guys go. I feel that at first Tim's motive was to he thought, and I'm trying to, I don't want to these are just my feelings, okay? These are just my feelings. Tim decided that Andre was going to be out in the streets and he was probably going to, die or whatever. So let me go ahead and get this insurance policy together. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like in the beginning he had a plot to destroy, Andre. As time went on, I think that his motives were like, you know, okay, my mom is setting up an apartment for him. My mom is setting up college for him, and he's doing this music. So things may turn around. So he decided, to, change the game. But after a little while, ladies and gentlemen, Andre decided that he was going to cooperate with the police. And after he decided to cooperate with the police and go in and take the polygraph test and talk, that's when Tim decided, I need to shut this down. I need to silence him before any information gets out because there's no telling what he can tell the police. And that is when all of this rushed stuff went into motion. That's how I feel about it. He wasn't in a hurry before, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, oh my God, he's gonna talk to the police. What is he gonna say? And so Tim knew that he had something to do with the attacks on his mother's home. He knew all of the things that, he had done, even like the money embezzlement from the, restaurants and everything. And there was no telling what Andre knew. Andre knew a lot of stuff because he worked at the restaurant. He was close to Robbie. So he knew several different things that was going on. So what happens is you've got a man who is waiting on something bad to happen because he's running around in a bad neighborhood where the studio is, but now he's going to talk to the police. So I need to go ahead and silence him because this is, he's going to tell on me and I've got stuff to hide. And so now you've got a guy that has to yet change the plot again. So he's got to hire some people. He's got to hire Travell and he's got to hire Terica. And he's already got YL on standby because that's who he has the insurance policies with, right? So he's doing all of this to, set himself up for success in a dirty manner. All the while, you're not doing this correctly. You're not a real career criminal, Tim. You don't have any way to get any of the documents you need to get the insurance policies. This is not a guaranteed win. And I felt like even if he didn't get the money, Tim was still satisfied with silencing Andre just so he could keep his secrets. Just so he could keep his secrets. Now we know that Tim was following Andre's every move via Instagram. That Travell Hill set up that Instagram and they used an alias and he sent him a message and said, "Hey, he took the bait. So now we're in. We know what Andre is doing and where Andre is at and all of the things. Every time he posts something on Instagram, they go look at it." So he did everything he could to know Andre's whereabouts. And you don't do something like that unless you have something sinister in mind. And that is how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. I mean, that per that synopsis, me personally, um, I don't know. I can't say what I want to say because this is YouTube. But for all the evidence that we have seen and all of the motions that have been filed to silence these people today, I feel like, and then yesterday with all of the things that were filed on the 5th and the 6th, he doesn't want Michelle to talk. He doesn't want, any of these people to talk. I feel like, why do you not want, Travell to talk? That was your boy, right? Why do you not want Michelle, to talk? You don't know Michelle like that. The CCC, that's a good one. Well, look, guys, shout out to almost 400 people in the chat. I do appreciate it. I hope that you guys subscribe because I will be back tomorrow. Definitely keeping coverage of this child. So you definitely want to subscribe. If you don't subscribe, you're going to miss out on some wonderful content. If I do say so myself, I love you guys so, so much. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of you guys being here, and I will be back tomorrow. I'll try to make it tomorrow night, but I will put an announcement out on my social media to let you know around about what time, so that you can get some more coverage of this trial. I will be covering this trial almost every single day. And unless I'm sick or at the doctor's office, I will be covering this trial every day that I can. So thank you guys so much. I love all of my teacups, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys. Thank